And we are back. I'm not sure what happened there, but as we were saying, we are at the final round of the Hound Academy series, and I am joined by Dave, and you were in the middle of saying something when I noticed we were offline, Dave.
Yeah, my fortune has changed now. Let's just hope this isn't a things to come. Let's hope the drivers perform better than our streaming capabilities at the moment. But now, as we're saying, dark, Bahrain, it's cold. The drivers will be whinging about the track temperature as usual, but it is what it is. We'll see how they get on. And straight away, Ben Law with a pretty decent time.
Yeah. Nice time there. But the gap isn't that great, is it, between Harkin and Davies? Really, we can see there at less than a tenth for both those drivers. That gap on the screen is to the leader, so it isn't next to each other. So, Davies, a minuscule amount of difference he needs, amount of time he needs to improve a place in the GT3 field. Obviously, Athol Bascar leads the way, at least for now. Anderson not far behind. Bit of a surprise there. So great job there from Anderson, who's got a turn of speed out of nowhere, it seems.
Anderson, he has been practicing a lot in that Deathmobile, what we call the 296. I'll be honest, he's not going to be happy, but he didn't look that quick in the practice server last night, but he seems to have found some pace, probably the setup I provided him with, but he's still nowhere near Bascar. Bascar is running away with it, as usual, because Brendan Rooney isn't here to challenge him. And then Bascar's just, I thought you'd went missing. Has he gone missing?
No, it's private qualifying, so obviously if you click on a different driver, everyone else disappears. Yeah. What would be interesting is, those kind of Trackmania videos you get where you get all the drivers, even though they're on a private track, you still see like the other ghosts and they're combined. So for the drivers it could be private, but for us, maybe we could see everyone as a spectator. That would be interesting.
That would be cool, because I think LMU does it, because when I'm doing qualifying, it's private. My DTU's telling me people there's to the left and to the right of me. So I assume everyone is on the track the same time. It's just ghosts. But if anyone can work a way around that, Sammy Q, get working on a tool so we can see everyone. That's it. Matt Hot Sauce Holman is in the chat asking how we are. All good here. I assume you're here to cheer for Mark Grayson, Holman?
Let's have a look. Where is
Grayson real?
I'm having a look. Dan Stevens, by the way, slots up to 4th in the LMP2 field. I can't see Mark Grayson. So he's letting you down, Matt Holman. Letting you down.
Yes, but as we see, Dan Stevens, P4, he's still 1.7 seconds off pole, but it is still a good position. Ryan Davies, if I remember rightly, wasn't it Bahrain outer when Ryan Davies introduced himself to us?
He did indeed. Oh, that was excellent. That was a worthwhile stream. That was Ryan Davies goes quickest in sector 1, by the way. Only just, mind you. Slightly slower in the middle sector, and again slightly slower in the final sector. Also, do have to explain, it shows purple for all the sectors regardless of if you improve when you cross the line, so you do have to look at the number inside the box as well. One of those little bugs that are going around at the moment for LMU.
It looks like Ryan Davies has loaded the correct setup tonight.
Yeah, that's always a help. Or at least not loading a setup for a completely different car.
Completely different class of car.
Yeah.
Let's see, for Toy P5. Toy hasn't had the strongest results the past few weeks. He's spent his time doing pirouettes, but he seems to have got it hooked up.
Yeah, I think one of the strengths that Fatoy has, at least from thinking back way when obviously a lot of these drivers have been here for some time, one of Fatoy's strengths was kind of consistency. Sure, it didn't have mega top of the field pace, but he'd start middle of the pack, near the end of the pack, and then just throughout the race, just by being consistent, he'd move up the order and have a great result. And obviously now he's picked up some speed as well, which is kind of the right order to do it. I think you start with the consistency and you just develop your understanding of where the limit is, your car control, all that kind of stuff. You build up your confidence, and Fatoy's done that excellently.
Pace comes to you. Fatoy probably would do better if he spent his time in the coaching sessions actually driving, and instead of declaring his love for SUV cars, because he has some weird fetish over them. But as you said, though, consistency is best, and this is what the goal is of the academy. Everybody wants to be the fastest, and that's all good. But there's no point being fast if you crash or you crash into others. So, as Sam said, you work on your consistency. You get used to racing alongside other people, and then the pace just comes to you over time.
Yeah, that's true. And on board with the BMW of Turner Hill, by the way, obviously heading up to the notorious turn 10. Obviously downhill, slight turn on the brake, slightly off camera as well, I think. Really easy to lock up, really easy to go wide, really easy to get it all wrong. But luckily, Turner gets through the corner. That's certainly one in the race, particularly on the opening laps. And obviously nearer the end when the tyres are slightly going off, drivers will be desperate to get through as clean as they can. Up about 4/10 was what I'm about to say for Turner on his dash. But as he comes through the corner, obviously he goes slightly deeper, loses the time he gained on that lap, and has kind of gone net positive. Slightly into the green now, but net neutral.
He slips in time now. What is surprising though is Darren No Wing Wilkes in P3. Where's he pulled that from?
Yeah, indeed. And speaking of P3, Ollie Knowles slots himself up to P3 in the LMP2 field behind his teammate, I believe, Ryan Davies. But you're right, Darren Wilkes now pushed down to 4th by Brian Anderson, who's coming back at him. Improvement against Wilkes of 7/10, believe it or not. And actually 6/7 away from Rafa Lacerda there in 2nd place in the GT3 field. So, yeah, a bit of an even spread. But look at the gap again between Lacerda and Bascar. It's crazy, isn't it?
It is. Bascar, obviously this will be his last race in the academy, because as of next season he doesn't qualify for it no more, let's just say. Lacerda, if I'm butchering your name, I apologise. Looking at his SimGrid rank, and probably will be with us next season, and it is always interesting to see a driver using a controller, which Lacerda does. Shows that you don't need £3,000 SimRig setups to be competitive.
No, but yeah, all the drivers like to have their excuses, don't they? We all have them.
Ryan Davies P1.
Yeah, and do you know what? Ryan Davies P1, in the fastest point of the lap, he has only achieved 277 kph. And obviously they're all in the LMP2s, they're all in the same car, so it's all down to setup and drive at this point. Otto Harkonnen, who sits in P2 as it stands, not far away by the way, less than a tenth there, less than half a tenth in fact, 283 kph achieved. So quite a difference there really between the two. And
I assume it's setup based, because I know the LMP2s here run a very, very short gear ratio. Like coming on the main straight, you bounce off the rev limiter like 3/4 of the way down there, depending on which setup you use. But whereas we're on board with Harkin, he's half a second down, but he's got time for 1, even 2 more laps if he has the fuel for it.
Yeah, laps just under 2 minutes for the LMP2s and just over 2 minutes for the GT3s. Oh, a bit of a snap there. Obviously catches it going into turn 1. Won't do much for his lap, particularly as he's so close to Davies and Stevens.
He's 3/10 up.
4/10 up now, yeah, incredible. But look at it, it's so close to Stevens. Knowles isn't far behind either. So actually this lap, sure, improve, get pole, but also defend from Stevens, Knowles, maybe Farrell behind, because they are likely to also jump him. His time is still just creeping up. But again, these little things, imagine how much quicker he could be.
I'm just wondering if he invalidated on the exit of T4 there, because he did go quite wide.
And there isn't a time showing up on the screen.
No, I think he's invalidated there, which, considering he's nearly 6/10 up, is the biggest kick in the groin you've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. But you've got to think, okay, I've got that pace in me. I just need to relax. Don't think about it too much and just get on for another lap. There is time. I know there's only a minute in the clock, but he'll get across the line before then. Fatoy sneaking up to 7th, by the way. Obviously moving up 2 places on that lap. As I said, Stevens as well. Personal best improvement in the first sector. We've seen them rounding the second to the last corner. Might have been validated. Yeah, might have been better than the middle sector as well. But Yeah, another one who will be wanting to improve. But Knowles, extending his lead, needed to do it, obviously, with the pressure received from the drivers. Loses it at turn 1 there, so won't be able to defend anymore. So now it's up to Ryan Davies, who's in the pits. So given up from them. Also Harkonnen then will be the next to come across and start their final flying lap. Let's have a little look at Max Farrell, who sits in 5th. Personal best, purple sector 1 there we can see improves nearly 0.3 compared to the best so far. Personal best in sector 2 as well.
The biggest question is do we have max Farrell or minimum Farrell tonight? That is the question.
Well, he's showing some improvement.
Oh, he's
closes the gap. Is he going to move up to 4th? He does move up to 4th. Again, 4,000th.
Look how close that is between 5th, 4th and 3rd, and 2nd even.
Indeed. Stevens in the pits now as well, so Otto Harkonnen, the only driver left out on circuit in the top 5 in the GT3 field. Darren Wilkes also on circuit in the GT3 field. In the LPT. Darren's in the GT3 field. Isn't improving though, so we'll stick with... actually, we'll go back to Matt Hagen, who is in that fantastic livery you like so much.
Yeah, Spike the Dragon. Shame his middle sector hasn't matched his livery because he's 2 seconds down. I assume he's had a bit of a snap somewhere, but we'll see how he finishes.
Indeed.
Comes on the last 2 corners technically, because that's T13 and 14. Looks like he's heading the pits.
Yeah, always good to practice a pit entry and pit exit if you can, particularly here, you know, the pit exit here, especially if you're changing tyres. I'm sure you are familiar with Dave. Straight to a hairpin at turn 1 is incredibly difficult. And there's so much pressure, isn't there? Sorry.
Little dig there. Who is left on the track, by the way? I can see 2 cars flying.
Ben Law and Otto Harkonnen. Ben Law, purple sector 1. Thanks for the reminder. I didn't even spot these guys. Coming around the final corner are both these guys. Otto Harkonnen obviously just ahead, purple sector 1 as well apparently. Let's see if he moves up from 3rd up to up to 1st. So excellent job. And Ben Law follows him there, pushes Knowles, Davies and Farrell, or just Knowles and Davies, sorry, down 2 positions. Great job from those drivers at the end there. And the track, by the way, 17 degrees, so very, very cold. So lots of pressure to get that done as Matt Hagen's just showing off that livery there.
Y'all love Spike the Dragon. It'll make the best liveries. But Lacerda, if I'm butchering your name, I apologise. Close the gap to Bascar, only 0.8.
Go to the grid for a race start.
Do you want to do the grid rundown, Sam?
Yeah, obviously Otto Harkonnen and Ben Law lead the way on the front row in the LMP2 for Ollie Knowles, Ryan Davies. We saw them matching liveries on the 2nd row, just ahead of obviously Max Farrell and Dan Stevens. Dan Stevens also repping that interesting livery in the 3rd row. Matt Hagen, your favourite livery there next to Patton Vitoy. Yep. Great result really from Vitoy. Middle of the field in P8. Matthias Fusken, very bright livery from there. Lines up next to Aidan Howard, oNiD's very own.
Engine killer.
Indeed. Fiona Zombie and Jarrett Page, Fiona mentioning they're not last and they're saying, holy heck, great job. You are quite the way up the field tonight. Mark Gravesmall, Dean Smith. Again, Dean Smith. Sorry, this is the last row in the LMP2 field. Starting in the GT3 field, we've got the 2 Mustangs lining up side by side. Arthur Bascar and controller Demon himself, Rafa Lacerda there. Brian Anderson in the Ferrari next to Darren Wilkes. Darren starting with his wing this week. Stefan Reinhardt in the Ferrari also next to Max Sabchuk in that ever-stable Aston Martin. And Tim Bob and John Cotty, twins tonight in the McLarens.
That is a recipe for disaster right there.
And Nathan Turner and Olaf Badej line up on the back row of the grid tonight.
Last time I seen Tim, Bob and John Cotty that close to each other, it involved a pit lane incident at Portimao, which didn't go well. So let's hope that doesn't happen again.
Lab has started.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It's not too difficult of a start here. Obviously, whenever there's a hairpin, you know, you'd think there'd be danger, but I think people tend to have to slow down more for it, and there's such a long way towards the turn 1. There's lots of time to get things settled, but there's also a nice gap between the GT3 fields. That could be a bug. That is one of the bugs I've got to sort out. I can't see anyone on the track, on the timing screen there in the pits, so it's
It's LMU doing LMU things.
Well, that's a widget I made, so it's my fault.
We won't blame you, Sam. We'll blame Scrub. It's Scrub's fault.
It is usually Scrub's fault. Ben Law obviously stealing P2 away at the final moments from Ryan Davies. Ollie Knowles. So Harkonnen, he still be gearing up, getting ready to go, but the two I don't know what to call them, Knowles and Davies on the second row, obviously waiting to lap up the slipstream.
The gruesome twosome.
The gruesome twosome. They are indeed away, obviously. We'll let the timing tower catch up in a moment. Otto Harkonnen leads the way still, obviously heading down towards turn 1. Will we get any brave, silly buggers trying to make it 3 or 4 wide? Looks fairly tidy for now. No one obviously getting it wrong except for, obviously, I think it was Ryan Davies in the background. No, it wasn't. It was Dan Stevens, I think, going off deep there in the background.
It looks pretty clean. Everything looks good. All the LMP2s are away from the GT3. Well, apart from that one at the very back. Everything is looking fine up to now. No incidents.
Yeah, no incidents so far.
Dan Stevens has dropped right back, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was the one that had the issue at turn 1, having to go around the outside and avoid some of the drums. We also saw, I believe it was Aiden Howard, go very deep at turn 1 and make an error, but rejoins, obviously, down in P8.
What is interesting as well is, as the LMP2s warm the tyres up, the GT3s have more mechanical grip. So that's why you can see, we have Max Savchuk facing the wrong way. What has happened? Oh, a little bump. He tried to go around the outsides, too much right foot. And all they've done very well to avoid him. Fantastic
job everyone getting out of the way there. Very cold circuit, and it's slippery off the track at the best of times. So these two Ferraris having a little battle. Stefan Reinhardt and Brian Anderson. Tim Bob and Rafa Lucero also. Yeah.
Tim Bob, an absolute flying start up to P3.
Yeah, up 4 places from the start up to P3, obviously, as you were saying. Excellent start there. Let's see how long he can hold on to that and start putting pressure onto the Mustangs. Right up behind in the Ferrari, putting pressure on his sister Ferrari there, just ahead, having a little look into the final corner. Obviously decides to stick with him through the final corner, use the slipstream down the start-finish straight where it's most useful, obviously, and attack, whereas it's probably the best place to attack on the circuit, turn 1, I'd say.
Yes, I would say. The rear of Anderson's car, as we see Dan Stevens that's Grevsmull, sorry.
Yeah. It's Grevsmull getting going again at the back of the field.
Great time. Not sure what happened. Again, probably too much right foot on cold tyres. Now got to battle past Dean Smith. Dean, who had a great result last week. Hopefully he can replicate that.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Back to Darren Wilkes, dropping down a few positions since the start of the race, unfortunately, but has got his wing, and I'm sure will be looking to deploy that weight saving as soon as he can by dropping it off somewhere.
And as we were talking about Fatoy's consistency in qualifying, he found himself in the middle of the GT3s.
Yeah, not the best of starts, it seems, for Toy, but long way to go, really. 47 minutes to go. Ryan Davies putting pressure on Ben Law, it seems. Also, Harkonnen dropped down to 4th now. Obviously, those all getting mixed up. Ryan Davies, Ollie Knowles slotting in between Law and Harkonnen. Grevsmull also getting ahead of Dean Smith further down the order in the LMP2 field.
What's Ryan Davies been eating lately? He's become a bit of a speed demon. He was leading the race at Sebring last week until Ryan Davies did.
Yeah. Reinhardt looking to get...
great exit.
Excellent stuff. Planned ahead, it looked like, for a bit of a cutback. Gets onto the power, obviously, side by side of Brian Anderson as they approach the final corner. This is obviously one to get right. Long way to go if you don't.
Now Brian Anderson should have the better exit. Get that slipstream. Be interesting to see who was running the lower wing. Oh, he's pulled out too early, Brian Anderson. Who's going to be the bravest on the brakes?
Looks fairly tidy. I thought there was a bit of a knock there, but it looks like they got away with it.
It looks like Anderson took a little bit too much curve, but these two fighting is just giving Darren Wilkes some hope because it's just letting him close in.
Yeah, they go through tenfold, just kind of the next best opportunity to get the job done. From now, you're just sticking with the track, going through the wiggly stuff and trying to keep your pace up and get it right. But we'll keep an eye on these two. Ollie Knowles, Jarrett Page having an issue sideways there, just outside turn 10. Tricky corner to get right, obviously. We'll have a little look at how he did that, but I think we can imagine how it happens. This is Jarrett Page in the colourful LMU2. Gets onto the slippery stuff and just slips it around. Keeps it out of the wall there, luckily.
He got round the corner. It was the exit of the corner what got him. But it's easy. Like I said, it is a cold night at Bahrain. Track temperature isn't the greatest. It's hard to get temperature in the tyres of these cars. But Lord Davies and Knowles seem to have no problems. They are pulling away from Harkonnen in 4th place.
They are indeed. Yeah, Harkonnen last lap, 54 dead. That's half a second, 8/10 slower than Ollie Knowles. Obviously, growing that gap or extending that lead, just putting the pressure on Ben Law, who's absorbing it all for the most part. Obviously, started in second, took advantage of the start and moved up to first. This is Mark Grevschmal recovering from an off at the final corner.
Oh,
looked like he came off with quite a bit of speed as well. Let's see if this is going to show.
Yeah, looking at the gravel. Oh, let's see. Oh, he's tried to pin it. It snapped on him. Slightest of tap into the wall. Don't think there'll be too much damage from that. He's still got his wing.
And the LMP2s are starting to lap the GT3s already, actually. So fairly short circuit. I mean, it's 2 minutes. It's quite a long one, but you feel like you get lapped constantly here.
I wouldn't say that. I think this is Grevschmal trying to catch up.
Oh, right, of course. Yeah.
After his spin.
I was a bit surprised, to be fair.
Yeah, he feels he's P18 at the moment, and the GT3 starts from P13, so he's got a bit of making up to do. And Law running a bit wide, which is giving Ryan Davies a sniff of an opportunity, which he follows closely. It's all about the exit. We're all exiting the corners pretty well, so it's think about Ollie Knowles is having a look.
Yeah, all fairly even. They go through the final corner now. A bit more of the curb taken by Ollie Knowles into the slipstream of Ryan Davies. Ryan Davies obviously wanting to pass Ben Law, not just for the lead, but to be able to fend off from Ollie Knowles, who he's under great pressure from at the moment. Slipping to the inside goes Knowles as he approaches turn 1. Ben Law, watch this from his mirrors, grateful for the attacks. He has a moment of breather, sends it down the inside, does Ollie Knowles, but he gets it stopped nicely onto the brakes and takes P2 away from Ryan Davies. But there's still an opportunity for a counterattack here. Goes wide, does Ollie Knowles through turn 2 there, up towards turn 4 now, obviously. Let's see if Ryan can attack him straight away.
And I'm wondering if there's a bit of teamwork going on here, because I know that these two sit in a voice chat together during the race. So I'm wondering if there is some teamwork going on.
Yeah, possibly. Ollie Knowles does have the fastest lap of the race. 1.5 tenths quicker than Ryan Davies. And last lap was just over 2 tenths quicker. So makes sense to swap the order. A bit of a flash of the lights there, though.
But Harkonnen has closed the gap with it. Max Farrell isn't too far behind him either.
Yeah, well, here is Max Farrell. Not far indeed. Oops. This is supposed to be... There we go.
On board with Max looking for his braking point, which is about 75 metres. Oh, he's went a bit deep there, a bit too wide. Does he? Yeah, a little lift halfway around. We have a yellow flag.
So Grevschmal
again.
Yeah.
Oh, it's GT3 coming, you need to get going. Still has his wing though, so all is not lost.
Yeah, Disco on board with Reinhardt, who's about to make a little bit of a move on Tim Bob there, obviously approaching 10-10 now. Open up the corner as much as you can. Out of the brakes, keep it gentle, keep it smooth. Lots of steering lock, obviously at the apex.
Yeah, the tricky one about turn 9, 10, especially in the LMP2s, is you need to brake late enough to make up the time, but also early enough so you don't have to apply too much brake. Because if you apply too much brake, that's how you lock up in the LMP2s.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky one to get right.
Yeah, certainly is. We hear the car just understeering slightly, which tends to do obviously up through turn 11 and 12. Taking a lot of curb is Tim Bob there, maybe feeling the pressure, trying to defend, but it's just going to compromise him, give him a slightly slower run. Obviously, Dean Smith there going on by in the LMP2 as these guys approach the final corner onto the brakes. Turn it in, fairly open corner there, so you can carry a fair bit of speed. You don't have to brake too much for too long. Has a nice bit of run, a nice bit of momentum on Tim Bob. Now go back to the slipstream under the wing of the McLaren.
Problem is the McLaren is a fast car in a straight line. So unless Reinhardt is running a very low wing setup in the Ferrari, he's going to have trouble getting past. Great defensive line from Tim Bob, but Reinhardt is looking for the switchback. Well defended from Tim Bob.
Indeed, we mentioned Max Farrell earlier, and he's caught up indeed, but not to Otto Harkonnen.
Yeah.
He's caught up to Ryan Davies. Otto Harkonnen sitting in third, obviously. Ryan Davies had having an invalid lap last lap, so I can't quite see the time. There's nothing on my yellow flag log, so maybe just going slower or going wider, and has given Max the opportunity to catch up.
As it is, give Harkonnen the opportunity to attack Ollie, but Ollie is right on the back of Ben Law.
Indeed, as they go through turn 1 nice and tidy. But for Toy also catching up to Darrett Page, slowly bringing that gap down as they approach the final corner.
Is Fatoy closing in quickly. And as you'll notice, that we have no Leon Rispers tonight. Currently on holiday.
Indeed, so as big off there for Jarrett Page into turn 1. Carries.
There goes the 50 metre point.
Yeah, indeed. Keeps hold of his wing though, but yeah, knocks that braking board way out of where it should be.
Thankfully, the 50 metre one isn't really used.
No. If you need the 50 metre board, something's gone terribly wrong.
Yeah. But I can see this is the beauty of multi-class race and the race within the race. Oh, who is that?
Guess. Grevschmull.
Grevschmull is the new Ryan Davies.
Yeah. Seems that way. Just get going.
Come on, Ryan. We
there.
need a spin, Ryan. Grevschmull can't take your crown. Baton for
Toy getting on by past Fiona, as Fiona had a bit of a wide moment there. No, sorry, Fatoy was the one having the wide moment now. Fiona looking like she wants to, or they want to take back their position up through turn 11, but being on the inside of turn 11, you just lose all your momentum. It's far too tight for that kind of corner. It's a very wide open corner. You can carry a lot of speed through it. Being on the inside is just not the place to be.
What a shame to see Hagen back in P11. He has not had the best of starts. But he had a decent volley.
Yeah,
indeed. You can see him just in the background there.
Yeah, down, starting 7th in class. Tim Bob having a moment there. Obviously, just before turn 10, just after turn 8. Gets going eventually. Let's have a quick look how that happened. Has
come round, getting ready. He's put too much right foot is what he's done.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. Takes it a bit tighter than the Ferrari as well, obviously. Loops it round and waits for the traffic before rejoining nice and safely. Fiona fending off for Toy. These guys swapping places though constantly. Fiona up a position from the start so far.
It's a good start from Fiona. All he knows is Hound in Ben Law.
Indeed he is. Barely 3/10 between these two drivers. Really putting the pressure on.
It's the closest battle on track because Baska is a few seconds ahead of Lacerda. Garrett Page in the pit already. And is this turn on Darren Wilkes?
Indeed it is, as they head up towards turn 1. Obviously the McLaren of Wilkes just ahead of Turner up a few places.
Oh, that was a dive and a half from the McLaren just behind. John Cotty coming from a different country, never mind postcode.
Indeed. And Ben Law also deciding now's the time to take his stop. We can see him there, obviously, and as you mentioned as well, we had another driver stopping.
Jarrett Page, it was.
Jarrett Page, indeed it was, yes. And still stopped,
still
in fact.
In the
He's going.
No. So that is putting Law back quite a way down.
Yeah, and maybe even further than just comes out behind Latoy and just ahead of Matt Hagan there, who might even sweep around the outside of turn 1. We have got a yellow flag briefly. I think that was from Mark Grevschmall.
Again. Grevschmall is racing with the GT3s at the moment. Oh, he's done it. Oh no, he's held it. He's doing his best Stevie Bain impression.
Yeah, he certainly is. Certainly is. Trying to get past GT3 there. Snatches the rear, but keeps hold of it.
Yeah, he's doing his best Stevie Bain impression here. Seeing how much drift he can get. Back on board with Nathan Turner, being chased down by John Cotty. Oh
my goodness.
That looked a bit close, did it not?
Should have a little look at that from the outside.
Yeah, that should be interesting. John Cotty already tried this into T1, sending it from a whole different stratosphere. Let's see how this looked. That would have been murder of the first degree. At that.
Yeah, it would have been.
That thing. As we see, Hagan on the back of Law. Obviously Law has pitted, whereas Matt Hagan has not. But it would be good for Hagan just to hang on to the back of Law, just get some pace up and to get moving through the field.
Yeah, Law electing to pit rather early, it must be said, for the LMP2s. Maybe has got a nice gap, maybe he's got a slightly different strategy. Obviously we'll be carrying more fuel overall throughout the race, but maybe with the pressure from Ollie Knowles as well, just thinking, you know, it's not worth risking me losing this right now. I'll come out of the way of this battle and just get on with my own race, and then we'll see how it shakes up after Ollie's also stopped, I suppose.
Yes. It will be interesting to see what strategies the drivers go for. We see
it's like the M1 over here.
Yeah, gaggle of cars coming down here. Nathan Turner still chasing Darren Wilkes. John Cotty a bit further back, I think, for everyone's sake. Brian Anderson is down the order as well. What happened to Brian Anderson? Because he had a decent quality as well. Oh, but then he's driving the Ferrari 296, so that's what's happened.
There's not much love for that, I suppose, from you.
No, definitely not. I'm glad I don't have to look at the thing anymore.
So there's something, I just got this weird memory of you in a 296 at Bahrain. What is that?
No, Bahrain was an alright race, wasn't it?
I can't remember. It all blends into one. I remember you and Nick was having just issues constantly in the 296 as well, I think.
Oh no, that wasn't Bahrain. It was Monza. It was Monza.
It's every
it
other
was
circuit.
Fuji. It was Le Mans. It was. Let's just say I have PTSD every time I see that car. It's not nice. But Nathan Turner closing up on Darren Wilkes. BMW no slouch in a straight line to keeping up with the McLaren, which is renowned for being quick.
Yeah, no, certainly. And obviously a lot of the corners here are really open, with the exception of turn 1, turn 10 obviously, but turn 10 just kind of equalises. It doesn't matter how agile you are, every car's the same through there. Yeah, the corners are so open up here. The Ferrari doesn't quite have the advantage of its typical agility. The BMWs are just fine powering through them and obviously roaring down the straights again, so fairly balanced tonight obviously. Fuskin still trying to catch up to Max Farrell, who still resides in 4th somehow, but Fuskin up at 4 places, obviously qualified down in 9th, so great job. And then Aidan Howard up a number of positions as well in this
amazing to see Aidan's engine has survived. Still got plenty of time to kill it. Dan Stevens has done all right recovering to P7 after his entertaining start, we'll say.
Yeah, indeed. And if anyone needs their downshift protection testing, just give Aidan a ring.
Had we seen there, Turner nearly turned into Aidan, I would have loved to have heard the voice chat had that happened.
That would be quite interesting.
Puts Turner back on the rear of Darren Wilkes. John Cotty also approaching Brian Anderson, keeping his distance this time.
Here he is, and obviously the G3's probably able to go the entire race without stopping, I'd imagine, unless we get some surprises. So, all these positions...
With fuel saving, I would have thought it'd be tricky because obviously there's a few long straights where you will burn through the fuel. But really, what we need is Scotty here to give us the fuel strategy because Scotty knows best.
Yeah, so we need the we do indeed. I believe that was that wasn't Matt. It was. Was it Ollie trying to get through those? No, it wasn't. No. It wasn't the LMP2 car trying to get through there, as we saw. I don't know, just got a little nudge there from John Cotty, unfortunately. But yeah, Scotty, say, always on it in terms of strategy. Fuskin still keeping up with Max Farrell, just getting that gap down slowly, and you're kind of at this core chunk of the race where you're waiting for your opponent to make a mistake while keeping up with them, and then you kind of assess the situation from there. You think, well, they're not going to make any obvious errors. I'll try and push a bit more now. I know I can. I've got my strategy all worked out.
Try force an error. Try the old mind punt.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, there's obviously not a move on. It's not doable, but you're putting yourself in that position where you really press your opponent to make them think, oh no, are they going to send it here? And even if they have to think for a second, are they going to send it here? And they're not totally concentrating. That's where the room for errors are, as well as trying to outbrake your opponent who's never going to try it anyway. But it's those setting your car up in a way and driving in a way that makes sure your opponent need to be defensive and take them offline and make them think about their braking, and that's where you can kind of force those errors to be made.
That's exactly it. A lot of racing is mental. It's about putting your opponent off, and especially when you're in leagues where everyone is consistent and people will just lap without making mistakes, sometimes you have to force a mistake from them.
Yeah, that doesn't mean send it on the inside every corner, but just being different on the brake. So some laps slightly earlier, some laps slightly braker. Being more on the inside, filling the mirrors, we call it. Forget about filling the mirrors. Fill the cockpit with a Mustang in a moment. As Ollie Knowles signature move there, and even more so.
That could have been what kind of rejoin? He didn't resafe jointly.
No, he certainly didn't. This is Ollie obviously having the original off, coming down towards turn 8, loses the rear onto the brake, I think just a little bit too long.
putting the power down kind of made it worse for him. Oh, yeah, that really isn't good.
And Hartman saying, battle for second, hotting up. Well, I think it did more than hot up. I think it boiled over as Ollie Knowles had his little spin there.
Yes. Holman would know all about hot things. He's the only man in the world who puts hot sauce in his tuna.
I'll have to give it a go. He says, well, he sniped that.
Fiona Zombie ahead of Aidan Howard, and as we see Fuskin on the back of Ollie Knowles after Ollie's incident, we'll call it. But there is a slipstream. Confused can get any. Nah, he's still too far away. Unless he does a John Cotty.
No, but he has got Max Farrell up ahead. So again, these are the things you have to think about as a driver. You know, what are the other factors that you can use to help you? You know, you've got Max Farrell, who you and your opponent are approaching. You know, there's going to be a difference in braking. You know, your opponent's going to have to account for that. You're coming up with momentum. You know, do you have the ability to put your opponent in a position where they kind of get boxed in, and you can take advantage of that? All these things to think about. Matt Hagan, sorry, not Matt Hagan. Someone was a yellow flag briefly, then I thought it was Matt, but it wasn't. But we've also got Brian Anderson and Turner and Wilkes in a little bit of a three-way as they all sail through turn one. I say Darren Wilkes cuts turn one quite a lot.
Takes a penalty. He'll take a penalty for that. Trying to. At this point, again, 24 minutes left. If the drivers have a lot of track warnings left, you sit there and think, do I take the warning to pull away a few tenths? These are tactics driving shoes. I've used it myself, I won't lie.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian Anderson feeling what the 296 does there. Bit of snap oversteer coming out of T4.
Indeed.
As you see, these three still going at it.
Yeah, and obviously some of these drivers thinking about pitting, I am sure, and probably wouldn't want to blink first, or maybe thinking, you know, well, I'm in this thing, I'm being slowed down, maybe I'll try and undercut. Look at the track, or if they have the full track map, look at the track map, see if there's a gap, see if they can do that calculation, and it's quite a lot to do, really. I know it doesn't sound like much, but you know, working out how long you spend in the pits, what that translates to on the track map.
What isn't interesting, when you have three cars this close, it also shows how much you have to get your fuel calculation right, because if you overfuel by 2 seconds, it's lost 2 places.
Yeah, exactly. That also, you know, with your pit entries or pitting when lots of other people are pitting and you have to have a slower entry or drive around all these little things add up tenths, you know, and the gap here is hardly anything.
Turner on the back of Wilkes, extremely less than half a second back. Still can't get the move done though. Closing up under the braking zone.
So I've just seen Trussie's comment in chat. It just says, hit him, Brian.
Nah, but the only thing Brian is able to hit is the wall, which is driving the Ferrari. So it will probably happen at some point.
Well, fingers crossed it doesn't. Nevertheless, obviously, I'll have a look at the points in a bit. But
to be fair, after the amount of rubbish Brian gives me on stream, it would be nice to see him in a wall, if I'm completely honest. No bias there, no bias. No. But I see Turner trying to put Wilkes off as much as he can, and he just... Wilkes with absolute diamond hands won't fold at all.
No, really. The BMW looking left, looking right. The corners trying to fill the mirrors, trying to put some pressure onto the McLaren, opening up turn 8 to get obviously higher.
Deep.
Yeah, a bit too deep there, missing the apex and dropping back a little bit. Maybe, you know, that's what you need when you approach turn 10. Just a little bit more room as well as they both get onto the brakes, kind of. Obviously, you don't want to just hammer the brakes. You've got to have some steering input, and therefore you have to have some spare grip in the tyres to be able to do that as they roar up towards turn 11 now, and the gap has grown a little bit, about a tenth or so, but staying with Wilkes is Turner for now, and also staying in this three-way, actually four-way now. Obviously Ryan Davies up on front, Max Farrell half a second behind that, leaving Otto Harkonnen to resume the race lead somehow. I don't know where we missed that from.
Who is that?
7 seconds up the road. This is Dean Smith.
It's
Smith.
Dean? What has gone wrong with Dean?
He's parked outside of turn 9. It doesn't look like a... I was about to say, it doesn't look like a racing issue, but I think there might be even a...
That looks possibly a hardware problem.
We can go back a little bit more. If I can get... Coming around turn 8. We'll go on board. And the steering wheel just gets locked, or maybe a slightly distracted driver.
Knowing Dean, he probably fell asleep at the wheel.
Do you know what? I thought that initially, but I didn't want to see it.
Yeah, Dean probably having a little nap whilst going around turn 8. Ollie chasing Max Farrell, old and strong.
Here he is. Yeah, he is. As they lap the Aston Martin GT3 car and get underway again, obviously. Yeah, Otto Harkonnen, who claimed the lead, obviously, from the spinner himself, 8 and a bit seconds up the road.
Ryan Dizzy Davies having a little snap of overseer coming out there. It looks like Max Farrell going into the pits, Fuskin stealing the slipstream all the way down.
Yeah, Fuse has come out of nowhere, really, hasn't he? He's obviously overtaken Max, who's into the pits, onto the brakes for turn 1. I think for a moment there he thought about that, you know, and just stayed on the racing line. Ryan Davies pulling out his trap card there. Let's have a little look.
Oh, Ryan, what have you done? He's too much power coming out of T2 or turn 2 and 3. It comes round turn 1.
Straight lines.
Oh.
That was go around turn 1 and you just, Ryan, your dinner's ready. He just pulls over.
Possibly, and he's back going again. What he might have done is he might have felt a spin coming on and he's thought of me and you laughing at him, so he's just straight lined it.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough, because we would have laughed at it, that's true. Brian Anderson still fighting Darren Wilkes as they get onto the start-finish straight.
So Turner must have got past Wilkes, yes he has.
Well, yeah, last lap, Wilkes was 3 seconds slower than the average lap, so maybe having an issue somewhere. Whilst Ryan was having those moments we were watching. Matt Holman mentioning maybe a PC freeze. Looked like it, to be fair.
Dean in the chats, yeah. FPS, but that sounds like a Dean issue to me. Oh, Wilkes, what have you done? Let's have a look. Has he lost it himself, or has Brian Anderson committed a murder? Let's have a watch. I must have lost it. Oh, there we go. Too much right foot.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, turn 1 hairpin. Cold track. To be expected.
He's kept his wing, which is an achievement for Darren. It's put him behind John Cotty. Fuskin chasing Ollie Knowles down now after Ryan Davies did his best self-impersonation. Oh, did we just get a follow?
Yeah, from... I'll let you say that one.
It looks like Nayadwagon. If we have butchered your name, I apologise. It's either you have a strange name or you can't spell. Let us know in the chat which one it is.
Yeah, it's either that or Nayadwagon. But, yeah, these two.
Fuskin trying his hardest to put Ollie Knowles off, but Ollie keeping it together nicely.
Yeah, soaking up the pressure is Ollie Knowles as they head up towards turn 11. Fuskin really racy, really putting the hammer down. Obviously, we've got a GT3 McLaren just up ahead that they'll be lapping, so maybe able to use that to their advantage. Maybe Ollie Knowles will have to be slightly slower going up the hill here, but goes wide, in fact, does Ollie, as he goes through turn 11. Obviously through the long right-hander. Has a bit of a moment there briefly, does the LMP2 car, I think. of Fiona. Indeed it was, but just getting out of the way, I think, upon reflection. Fuskin sticking with Knowles then as they sail through the third sector on their way to obviously start another lap. But here's more GT3 traffic to make it interesting.
15 minutes of the race left. Some of these drivers haven't stopped yet. Be interested to see what strategies. And I know we are showing a lot of the LMP2s, but let's be honest, Bascar is running away with the GT3s. Then we have a big gap to Lacerda, another big gap to Reinhardt. We have Brian Anderson. I'd like to see he's making things interesting, but he really isn't. As he chases down Nathan Turner. Come on, Brian, do a spin, entertain us.
He thought about it. He did, as he's catching up to Nathan Turner.
What's he flashing for? Miles away. It's Darren Wilkes.
What was happening there? That was for Toy. Going slowly, I think. Let's have a little look. So this is Max Farrell, obviously, on the back of Fatoi as they approach the final corner. Mustang, GT3 Mustang gets so out the way. That was what happened. Scared Fatoi into sliding through the exit there, and obviously Max sailing on by, watching it unfold.
That was not big and it was not clever by Fatoi. Punishment, 30 days of driving around in an SUV.
Thought it was supposed to be a punishment. He'd enjoyed that.
He would, but he's one of them strange people who enjoys being punished. As we watched Brian Anderson come round, still chasing Nathan Turner. He's gaining ever so slightly, but he's not quite close enough to make a move yet.
Yeah, getting closer and closer, but the time is running down.
We have Harkonnen and Co approaching from the back as well, which... Oh, that was a... I don't know who that was in the other LMP2 behind Harkonnen, but he very late on the brakes. I think it's Dan Stevens.
Flash the lights. Let's have a look. I think you're right. It's not Dan Stevens. It is... Aiden Howard, yep.
Aiden the engine killer, making his way through the GT3s. Little bit of a lock up on the brakes.
Let's see how he approaches 10. 10 opens up nicely using the right hand side. A little bit late on the brakes, I think.
Do you know what we've missed?
Go on.
Fuskin getting past Ollie Knowles.
I don't believe it.
It is.
And maybe, I don't know.
It has happened. I'm not sure if it was done on merit, whether Ollie has followed his teammate Ryan Davies, but it's happened.
Has indeed. 12 minutes to go, though. Plenty of time to make those unforced errors. And looking at the pit stops as well. Early Ben Law. That's the wrong one. Sorry. I'll do it on this one instead.
We know Ben Law has definitely pitted.
Yeah.
Max
Ben
Farrell.
Law, Hagen and Howard and Page in the LMP2 field. The rest haven't.
Not a single GT3 has pitted. I assume they will all be on a no-stop strategy.
It's happened before. As Ollie knows.
I don't like to predict it anymore after things get wrong.
Yeah, I stopped mentioning any guesses of strategy because I'm always right. I'm never close to what the draft. And the same thing for when I embrace myself. I always terrible. I always get it way off.
I usually ask Scotty in the chat before we come live on stream. I ask Scotty, do you reckon these will be able to do this round here?
Oh, do you reckon Ollie Knowles will be able to spin around here? Yes, he can.
Yeah, he gives Brian Anderson a little kiss as he passes. It looks like Ben Law went a bit deep as well, though. I assume maybe put off by Nathan Turner.
Oops.
Let's have a look. Yeah, very deep, which is then, I think, spooked Ollie.
Oops.
Which is sent him into the side of Brian Anderson. And yeah, it has dropped Brian Anderson quite a way back from Nathan Turner now.
Yeah, it has indeed.
Not to mention any possible damages.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just giving everyone a little bit of breathing room as well in the LMP2 field. It seems Brian Anderson, as we saw, maybe with a bit of damage, maybe not. We'll see. Continuing in the 296.
It looks a bit beaten. Can we go on board with and see how straight his steering wheel is?
We could do. Let's get this one. It does look very...
Yeah. It looks like it's been on fire, half of it.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. Steering wheel is probably hidden because it's probably on my preferences. Oh no, there it is.
Yeah. Oh, there's the steering wheel. So
makes an appearance.
It's straight to a reasonable extent. Let's just say.
If I do this a bit more, there we go.
Yeah, I'd say it's straight.
Yeah, looks straight enough, I think. As he gets onto the brakes eventually for turn one.
Means he's got no excuses. He has to catch Nathan Turner now.
Yeah, exactly. There he is, just in front of the BMW. Yellow flag again, possibly for... Oh, no, it's Max Savchuk. Facing the wrong way in his Aston Martin. We haven't seen much of Max tonight, unfortunately. But here he is now, in the middle of sector... Well, at the end of sector 2.
Yeah, Max Savchuk, he's had some good results this season. Tonight is not one of them. As we see, Ryan Davies in the pits.
Yeah, it has stopped for a little bit longer than Ben Law. Ben stopped for 13.7 seconds. Ryan Davies stopped for 14.6. Max Farrell also stopped for 17.8 seconds. So a bit of a slower stop for Max.
Yeah, they stopped a lot earlier though, so I don't know why Ryan Davies has stopped for so long.
It's a very good question.
He must have Matt Holman doing his maths for him.
Yeah. That's very true. Ryan Davies comes out to 8th in class, yeah.
There is a few drivers. I know Dan Stevens hasn't stopped yet. Jared Page not having the best time. Not sure if Fatoy's stopped yet. So there is a couple of places to be gained. Harkonnen coming into the pits. Here is the race leader.
Up onto the Jacks. So we shouldn't see him in here for long. I mean, Matt Hagan, for instance, 6.8 seconds. So that's the shortest so far. The longest was Aidan Howard with 46 seconds. So I don't know what happened there. But also stopped for the exact same time.
He was held up. He was held up there by Fuskin.
Bit of tactical pit lane business, perhaps.
Possibly. Ollie Knowles in the pit lane too. Harkonnen is out clear though. Dan Stevens also. Our favourite type of collision.
Yeah. There's no bonk this time. Usually there's a bonk. That's what makes that's the cherry on top is the bonk noise. But
bonk. Yeah,
the bonk.
That is Law just. Fuse can just come out ahead of Max Farrell, but Max will have some heat in his tyres, as you can see by the exit.
So it's all kind of been mixed up again at the pits, and as Max Farrell goes to the outside of Fuskin there at turn 4, locking up goes Fuskin. Yep, tries to cover it off quickly, but can't close the door quick enough. Max Farrell has shot up the inside and on his way through sector 1, and this is where he'll be.
Fuskin very close there, but the undercut from Max Farrell has worked.
It seems to have worked a treat, and similarly, Otto Harkonnen resumes the lead of the race. Ben Law up to second again. Farrell in third now. Fuskin still a great job overall, obviously starting in 9th, now in 4th, and has already stopped. So, that shake around has kind of put things back to where they were earlier on in the race. Ollie Knowles down to 5th now. Stevens down to 6th, and Vittori yet to stop, up in 6th.
Ryan Davies still in 8th, so the shake-up hasn't put everything completely back because Ryan Davies still is well out of the position he started in.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Last lap, Ryan Davies, 2.5 minutes. So I don't know what's happened there. Obviously, he spent 15 seconds in the pits. But so did... Oh, in fact, more. Max Farrell spent more than that. You know, Ollie Knowles spent about 15 seconds. Otto Harkin, 15 seconds. So it wasn't the pit stop that put him down the order. Something else happened.
We have our Fest GT3 pit as well. Stefan Reinhardt in the pits. So, does this mean that not all of the GT3s are going to go the full distance?
That's a good question. Obviously, the GT3s, unlike the LMP2s, also have virtual energy to manage. And there's another yellow flag for Max Savchuk, who's deep into the wall reversing now. Let's have a look where he is. That's just outside turn 8. Reverses, lets the traffic go and gets going again. What I was going to look at quickly is, as Bertrand Fatoy obviously enters the pits there, what I was going to look at quickly is, as a Bascar, if we go on board quickly, we should be able to see... where's my buttons? Here we go. We can see his virtual energy, and that's the NRG bar on the right there. That's the leader. Just one yellow bar remaining. Rafa about the same. Reinhardt a little bit more. Turn away into the right. Yeah, exactly. And actually, is the bar at the top of the dash there virtual energy or fuel or anything?
I'm not sure in the BMW.
Ooh, as we catch Darren Wilkes sliding round through the first sector.
Perfect timing, that Sam. Now Wilkes plenty of fuel. He still has a good amount of virtual energy left.
Yeah. 15% for Wilkes.
There's 4 minutes left, which is on a good 3 laps.
Indeed.
Obviously, the LMP2s don't have virtual energy, so we can't really see much from them.
No, we can't. And the thing is with the virtual energy, we can't see fuel on the HUD, and Fiona has a bit of a moment there. In the final sector, a bit of an unusual place, actually, to do that. So we're going to have a little replay, see how that happened. I can imagine it's something to do with lighting the tyres up.
Yeah, too much exit curb and right foot on the exit of the corner. So you come round. Oh no, carried way too much speed.
Oh dear.
The wing has gone. That is going to have to be a pit stop from the owner. Thankfully, the wing is offline, so no one's going to hit it.
Oops. Indeed.
Yeah. Nathan Turner has been in the pits. Which has put Brian Anderson ahead of him.
Oh dear, where's the tyre for that car?
Oh,
yeah, that's put Brian Anderson ahead of him. And obviously the virtual energy is one metric. This is a yes it is. Having an issue into the wall. That's because we were in the other replay a moment ago.
Yeah.
And Lou said,
yeah,
fun fact. Oh, go on.
No, he's a bit broken.
Yeah, I think he's going to struggle to get that back. And if we go back to live images, yeah, indeed, he's still there.
Oh, it's a permanent yellow flag. What was the fun fact, Sam?
Yeah, no, if you, I know steering is an issue, but if you do lose your engine or lose a tyre, you can still get the car around. Like, it'll take you forever, but you can still limp to the pits, even with a totally dead engine. You have to, what is it? Is it throttle and upshift or something like that? It's like a push thing.
Oh, I've never tried it. I've killed my engine a couple of times. I've never thought of doing that.
Yeah. So if you're close to the pits, that's a little way home, I suppose.
So Brian Anderson is now in is that P4 of the GT3s?
It is, but I think he has to stop. And what I was saying quickly is, obviously we can see the virtual energy on the little HUD. As much as it pains us, we with that overlay we can see it. Fuel, we usually assume is about 1-to-1 for that, so we're guessing. But maybe some drivers getting that wrong and having to top up that fuel, or maybe not trusting the versatility and just topping that up, obviously, and avoiding any penalties or anything like that.
It is, that's exactly it. And I'll tell you what, Ben Law's not far from the back of Harkonnen. So this could very well be the final lap.
Well, yeah, so Otto Harkonnen, we see him going through turn 10 right about now. He's 1 minute and 3 seconds into his lap, 40 seconds left. It's 1 minute 43, and it takes about 1 minute and 53 to do a lap. So 10 seconds short, so this will be the final lap.
So those in the GE3s may have timed it just right.
Indeed, we see, where is Baskar on track? He's just starting a new lap, so he'll have to do another whole lap, in fact. Whereas, let's see, maybe John Cotty and that pack just ahead of him will be all right. So Anderson, for instance.
Yes.
And Lassard? I don't know.
Yeah, Lacerda just going down the pit straight there. Harkonnen is coming, so Lacerda and Baskar will have to do the extra lap. As we see Harkonnen giving it a weave across, taking the race win. Great drive. Ben Law and Max Farrell, but Ollie Knowles chasing Max Farrell to the line for this last podium place. And there goes P3 and 4 with Fusgan just behind. Ryan Davies, it was all going well at one point until it wasn't. Dan Stevens, a great exit. He's not going to quite get the run though. Great finish from those two.
Indeed. Edge here, just behind Turner as well, so this might be our final battle of the race tonight as the others cross the line to come home in their well-earned positions.
Oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a battle for 7th. Or 6th even, so...
Yeah.
Edge in P7, chasing down P6 of Turner. Not going to get it done, but that is still a great result for Olaf and a great result for Nathan Turner.
Yeah, great job there. As Tim Bob obviously crosses the line. And Baskar as well, obviously coming towards the finish line. Again, a quiet race from these two because they've just been on track, lapping consistently. Without too much, finishing Baskar with the fastest lap in the GT3 field. By the way,
also Baskar taking the championship for the GT3 as well.
A very good point. 1.2 seconds quicker, by the way, was his fastest lap than Lacerda there. So, and obviously the next quickest. So, very good stuff.
Is looking at pardon me, Andy.
I do have the. Where is it? This button here. This is how it was before the race.
Yeah, Aquadent wasn't here either. But Max Farrell with a P3 finish. I'm not sure what points that'll give him.
Indeed. We'll run through the order of the race quickly while the SimGrid
sorts itself out.
Yeah, exactly. Put that on. Let's go. We'll start with the LMP2s. Obviously, ignore the gaps on these. This is obviously not the finishing gaps, but also Harkonnen, obviously, great job from them, really. Tonight, obviously, started on pole, finished in the lead of the race after taking the elevator right up and down the field for some time. Obviously, took the early pit stop as well, which worked out quite well, it seems. Ben Law, obviously, finishing where they started to, but great result in second. Max Farrell, fantastic job there. Was certainly Maximus Farrell tonight, up to third. Ollie Knowles and Matthias Fuskan rounding out the top 5 in that field. Obviously, Ryan Davies doing his best to entertain us with spins, but not quite achieving that, but settled for 6th instead. Dan Stevens not far behind. Obviously, Matt Hagan as well in that livery that you love so much. Vittori as well, and Aidan Howard rounding out the top 10. We've got... there we go. Jarrett Page Mark Gretschmore, Fiona Zombie as well, coming home at the back of the field, and Dean Smith, unfortunately, DNFing as well. For the GT3s...
DNF is a D, not finish.
A D, not finish, exactly.
And we have Ascar P1 with Lacerda P2. Brian Hart taking the final podium place, with Brian Anderson, Darren Wilkes following. Good result for Nathan Turner and Olaf Badedge in P6 and 7. Tim Bobb in P8, John Cotty P9, and Max Savchuk in P... Oh, Max Savchuk also did a D not finish.
It did, and it looks like there's only 10 cars in the GT3 tonight, or at least at the end there. Yeah, only 10 of those. Let's have a look at SimGrid quickly while... see if it's updated. So obviously, that's the end of the SimHound Academy series for this season. But obviously, there'll be a new one next season in a few weeks' time, is it, Dave? I can't remember.
That is correct. Next week is a week off for social races. The Academy will be back, not next week, but the week after, for a new series, new classes of cars, and a new track list.
Ooh, very interesting, very exciting. And maybe even a LMU 1.0 not early access.
Ooh, when does that actually go live?
All I can remember is July. If anyone knows in chat, feel free to mention it. I can't remember exactly when it is.
I think it will be the start of the season. Won't be, but I think the second week of the season will be the full 1.0 release, which of course will include the Aston Martin Valkyrie and the Mercedes AMG GT3.
Yes, of course, July 22nd. So yeah, a couple weeks time. Cool. Well, you know, okay.
Because funny enough, the next classes for the next Academy series are hypercars, so it will be interesting to see how many people want to change to the Valkyrie just to hear the engine. Yeah, that's true. It'll be great to hear. Unfortunately, unless they change this, onboards are pretty generic sounds. So like the Alpine and the hypercar, you have to be trackside to hear the fantastic whine of that machine. Onboard just sounds the same noise as the other ones, unfortunately. The drivers will be able to hear it, and it'll keep them happy. Yeah, exactly. SimGrid's not quite updated, but thank you everyone for rating with us this season. I do hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching throughout the series and all the banter you've provided. And sure, you might feel like you didn't have the best result, but sometimes you don't even see yourself improving until you take a break and come back, and suddenly you're not making half the mistakes you used to, and someone will point that out, and then you realise. So do stick at it if you're getting a bit beat up about it. But always remember, it's a fake car race and never take it seriously.
That's true.
But no, it's been a great season. We've had some great moments. Who can forget Ryan Davies, Leon bottling it from P1 a couple of times.
Yeah.
Darren Norwing Wilkes. There has been some great seasons, but I would dare say Ryan Davies at Bahrain Outer was the highlight.
That was a fantastic race. That was such a funny stream as well. I wish I'd had that clip of the spin compilation ready to go so I could play it, because it was great. If you haven't seen that, if you don't know what we're talking about, check out that stream. There was a live compilation, if you like, of all of Ryan Davies' instance, where it was just an endless stream of him spinning. And I think also that one was featuring Dean going backwards quicker than he's ever gone forwards, which was quite a funny bit as well.
That would have been a great video to close out on, but yeah, find the stream for Bahrain Outer and get your popcorn out. It was worth it. Yeah, exactly. I think if it's not on the Twitch VODs, I think Ben's been super and actually uploaded those to YouTube as well, so check them out there. They'll be there. If not, SimGrid isn't cooperating, so we'll probably just close it off for now. Yep. We do have, obviously, a week still full of racing before the season properly ends. Obviously, they're different series. So Sunday, for instance, is our next LMU race, but we've got all sorts of stuff in between now and then. So do check that out. Join the Discord. Get involved if you're not already. There's some great banter there. So it's always much appreciated. But yeah, Dave, it's been a pleasure this season. A nice return to Wednesdays, which I obviously had a break from as well. Yep, it has. It's been a pleasure having you here commentating too. It's been a right laugh.
Yeah, it has, which is what we aim to be on a Wednesday. More casual racing, more casual. Casual.
Before we close, we have Ryan Davies in the chat.
What did we say that triggered him to run?
Yeah, at least I didn't load a McLaren. That is true, Ryan, but you still messed it up. So think about your actions. Sit in the corner.
Think about what you've done. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us throughout the series. Yeah, good night, I guess. Anything else, Dave?
Yeah, look forward to seeing everyone next season. And again, join the Discord if you're interested in racing in this series. I think there's still a couple of places for next season left. So get yourselves joined, take advantage of the track guides, the coaching, being took the mick out of by the commentators. You'll have a great time. So the Discord's in the chat. And other than that, I will let Sam close us out.
Yeah, just again, thank everyone, and good night.